The universe that was originally reborn into a railway has gathered 7 life paths. Bai Yue's unexpected power was blocked, and then just unlucky met a group of people who claimed to be in the sky. They were thrown directly into the Star Gate, and just accidentally passed through the Genshin Impact. It seems that all are coincidences, but actually all are coincidences. In order to restore the power of all life paths, Bai Yue and the newly awakened traveler Ying set out on a journey together. Chapter 1. This book finally gathers 7 disciples. Ah, how did I get through to Genshin Impact? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ha ha ha. After more than 100 years of exploration, this place has finally gathered 7 life paths: hunting, abundance, destruction, nothingness, harmony, preservation, and wisdom. Now I finally have the strength to fight against the envoys. I will never become someone else's plaything again. What kind of hard life did I live when I first came back to this world? Bai Yue recalled her tragic struggle history. Bai Yue was just reborn into the universe of the Starry Sky Railway and became a fox race on the Qingqiu ferry boat. As one of the rarest white hairs among the fox race, she was abducted and sold just a few days after birth. Her luck cannot be bad, but it can only be said that she was very unlucky. As soon as she was rescued, she was caught by Buliran for an experiment and directly injected with the power of abundance. He directly became the first longevity species in the fox-human race. Although it is unknown how those people succeeded, if it were not for the critical moment when they awakened the path of abundance, they would have almost died in that experiment. In the end, due to the serious sequelae caused by that experiment, his body could only grow to the appearance of a 7-year-old child, and his body could no longer grow. This has also become the biggest pain point in Bai Yue's life, but it is not the most unlucky thing. The most unlucky thing is being caught by a masked fool, who originally just wanted to go. People who borrow something from fake face fools are really just borrowing something. The key is that not only did they not borrow something, but they also played with it as fun in the end. When they finally managed to escape, they encountered the key again. At that time, Bai Yue kept roaring in her heart about who she was and how she could meet the star god. However, at this moment, she had just awakened again, and the path of destruction. What could be said about it? She said she was lucky, she awakened the path of destruction. She said she was unlucky, she met her. As soon as I woke up, I found it particularly interesting. I had to treat it as fun and almost got spoiled. In the end, I felt it was boring and left. It was only then that I finally managed to escape the disaster. When Bai Yue once resisted the army of abundant obstacles, she finally awakened her hunting fate at this moment and was almost killed by the abundance commander. In the midst of continuous misfortune, Bai Yue awakened various fates one by one. Although each fate had not reached its extreme, his strength grew stronger and stronger with more awakened fates. Finally, by the time he awakened, he had already possessed the strength to rival the envoy. The legendary experience of Bai Yue was written into a story, widely circulated in the universe, and eventually became an unlucky person who could awaken 7 fates. Bai Yue ended his tragic struggle and decided that from today on, he would trample on the Legion of Destruction and hold the Order of Abundance, becoming a legendary figure in the universe. Although he could only think about these things for a moment. The white moon is flying a spaceship, humming a song, imagining a beautiful future all the way. You don't know what's going on, it's just a rear-end collision ahead. I'm going. What's going on? Why are there so many abandoned spaceships ahead? Bai Yue was about to curse, but she noticed the many abandoned spaceships ahead. Just as she finished, she saw a huge figure again. Wait. Where did the figure in front seem to have come from? Let me think carefully, where exactly did it come from? A feeling of unease surged in his heart as he thought about it. He suddenly remembered where he had seen this figure before. Why does this thing look so familiar? I remember, I saw it before I was reborn when I was playing the Star Dome Railroad game, playing the simulation universe and the storyline. Isn't this the god of destruction, Nanak? Oh my god, I am Hida. How could I have encountered the star god again? Why would such an unlucky thing happen to me? It was still when he was dismantling the planet originally. Bai Yue wanted to quietly launch a spaceship and escape, but before he could start the spaceship, the annihilating army had already set foot on his spaceship. It's over, it's over. I've been discovered. There's only one way now, let's fight them. Bai Yue and the destroyer who boarded the spaceship started fighting, and with his current strength, there was no problem solving some shrimp soldiers and crab generals. What he was thinking in his heart now was that as long as the god of destruction, Nanak, did not notice him or his envoys did not notice him, everything was easy to say. Unfortunately, in the end, things didn't go as planned. Nanak just waved his hand casually, and his spaceship, along with this galaxy, was blown up to pieces. Nanak took action, but regardless of whether his legion was on his spaceship or not, if they were, he would explode together. It can only be said that he truly deserves to be the god of destruction. Bai Yue was successfully bombed into scum, but fortunately, he had received blessings from the god of abundance and the transformation of the Buli Ren before. In addition, he had obtained various life paths, and his own strength had reached the level of envoy. Under the many buff bonuses, he still had a little flesh and blood left to succeed. But with just a little bit of flesh and blood, he was really taken away by someone. After being taken away, he revived himself with his strong and abundant power, but it only took 10 years to revive himself. Ha ha ha. Our planet has finally come back to life. I have to say, the blessings of the god of abundance are really useful. Despite receiving an attack from the god of stars, we can still survive. I have to admire myself. Bai Yue celebrated his resurrection with humorous words, but he didn't even realize where he was. A heavy footsteps walked over and opened the door of Bai Yue's confinement room, shouting in displeasure, "Kid, you probably haven't figured out your current situation yet. You're on our spaceship, don't be reckless." After hearing such words and tone, Bai Yue looked disdainful and secretly thought to herself, "My seat now has the same strength as the envoy, and it can be said that it is also at the level of destroying planets with bare hands. With just you little scumbag, how dare you speak so loudly in front of me? Let me teach you a lesson. Although I don't know who you are, I am someone who can rival you. I advise you not to speak to me so loudly." Bai Yue spoke in a very arrogant tone, but his heart was very swollen. But the person just took a glance and gave him a big mouth before walking away, then said, "I don't care what you are. Just be honest with me on our spaceship." Bai Yue was extremely displeased by such a blatant slap on her face. She had planned to spare their lives for the sake of their spaceship, but now it seems unnecessary and she just took the spaceship. Oh my! How dare you hit my lovely face? I must teach you a lesson. Take my move and you'll be invincible. Bai Yue's second move was learned from playing Starry Sky Railway, following Yan Qing's example. But as soon as he exerted his strength, he realized that his strength and destiny were all gone, which made him embarrassed and almost dug out a 3-bedroom living room with his toes. The person saw Bai Yue's tone very arrogant, and even said something invincible. Such a second-year speech added fuel to his already unhappy mood. He thought it was another big mouth in his heart and pulled it out. Pop! A crisp sound made Bai Yue's face turn red, and she could only hold on to her own face with grievances. Give me a lesson, right? You're still invincible, right? Tell me another one. As he spoke, the person slapped Bai Yue several times in a row, turning her red and swollen. Woo-woo, I made a mistake, big brother. I won't pretend anymore. Bai Yue couldn't pretend and was slapped a few more big mouths, which was definitely one of the biggest stains in his life. After seeing Bai Yue buy something, the person left and didn't forget to lock the door before leaving, making it impossible for Bai Yue to escape. Bai Yue sat down peacefully by the bed, not believing that his strength had just disappeared. He carefully felt the power inside his body. He was surprised to find that his body was not the same as his original body. The resurrected body was more like a cloned physical body, and his consciousness and soul returned to his cloned body. At this moment, Bai Yue was completely panicked, and all his efforts were in vain. My destiny, my power, sob sob, my luck is too unlucky, but fortunately I am still alive, and my power should only be in a deep sleep. I can only awaken and restore these destiny paths one by one. Bai Yue sighed helplessly. At this moment, a group of people tied him up and led him to a strange device. Originally, Bai Yue was still a bit puzzled, but as soon as she saw the shape of the device, she felt a bit familiar. Why does this thing look so familiar? I remember, although I don't play Collapse 3, before I was reborn into this universe, I also stumbled upon it while bored with watching videos. It seems like a Stargate. But it seems a bit different. Shouldn't they be using me for an experiment? Bai Yue screamed inwardly that it was not good, and cursed loudly in her heart. These wicked things need to be experimented with themselves to find a way back. Bai Yue originally wanted to resist, but it was obvious that the resistance was ineffective and she was thrown into her heart and teleported away. Under this powerful force, Bai Yue's body disintegrated at a visible speed to the naked eye. It's over, this time it's really going to be a disaster. I didn't expect my lifelong reputation to be destroyed like this, and I don't know where I'll be taken. Bai Yue was just resurrected for a short time, and then choked off again. Suddenly, a force of abundance emerged in his body, successfully saving his little life. Damn it, it's failed again. This guy with abundant power can't bear it. The person observing the experiment shook his head helplessly and could only search for the next experimental target, but what they didn't know was that Bai Yue wasn't actually dead, she was just mistakenly transmitted to a strange place by the data. Where is this? Am I already dead? Bai Yue slowly opened her eyes and stood up bit by bit. When he looked left and right, he always felt familiar. He was frantically searching in his brain, and suddenly he remembered that this was a two-word game he had played before, Genshin Impact. I'm going. I'm not dead. I'm still in the Genshin Impact, and I don't know where the plot is going. Bai Yue shakes her head and continues to observe around, but he is surprised to find that he is now completely naked. That's it, what's going on? My clothes shouldn't have been completely destroyed by that energy before crossing, right? Now I'm naked, how can I go out and see people? Bai Yue hurries to find a clump of grass, but when she cuts through a clump of grass, she sees the native people of Qiuqiu who have been growing in Genshin Impact. Bai Yue had a black line on his face and was very speechless. It can only be said that his luck was really unlucky. He had just experienced a life and death crisis, and now he will have to go through another life and death crisis. The person from Qiuqiu exchanged companions and tied Bai Yue up in various ways. They brought him back to the campsite and placed him on the fire for charcoal grilling, dancing around the fire while grilling. It's over, it's about to be roasted. What should we do? Chapter 2. Traveler Screen. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Help. Is there anyone here to save me? At this moment, Bai Yue was being grilled on the fire by the people of Qiuqiu, and even the fur on her tail was burnt, emitting the aroma of roasted meat. This is a white figure, followed by a white floating object behind her. Holding a sword without a sharp edge, she struck it 3 times and divided it into 2. The group of Qiuqiu people were eliminated and turned into black charcoal, blending into the earth's veins. Bai Yue saw the white figure and shouted for help as if she had seen a savior. This beautiful sister, can you put me down? If you don't put me down again, I'll be roasted. Ying saw a cute little boy with white hair and fox ears and tail, looking pitifully at herself with his pair of golden and blue pupils. The pleading gaze almost melted her heart. Without saying a word, Ying rescued Bai Yue from the fire and barbecue grill. Bai Yue, with her bare body, could only use her half-burnt tail, which had already been roasted, to block important parts, and then looked pitifully at Ying, looking somewhat bewildered. Ying looked at Bai Yue, who had not yet recovered from her previous fright and was at a loss. She looked at herself with a pair of watery eyes, and a hint of blush appeared on her face. She tore off a piece of cloth from the Chocho people's camp and gave it to Bai Yue. "Here you are." Ying covered her face with one hand and handed the fabric in her hand to Bai Yue with the other. Bai Yue recovered from her previous fright and, feeling a bit embarrassed, took the fabric and wrapped herself in it, saying, "Thank you, sister." Ying's psychological activity at this moment. This child is so cute, with white furry ears and tail, and tender white feet. I really want to get started and run them / omega, shyness, this child is so pitiful, his tail has been burnt, Paimon interjected out of place, breaking the awkward atmosphere. Ying saw many burnt wounds on Bai Yue's body and originally wanted to go forward to treat them, but Bai Yue was scared and took a step back. "Don't be afraid, sister won't hurt you. You're injured, I want to bandage you." Ying Bai Yue comforted her with a frightened expression. Bai Yue put down her guard at this time. He remembered that the elder sister in front of him was Ying, the protagonist when he played Genshin Impact a long time ago. Bai Yue asked Ying to examine himself. Ying found a clean place to sit down and gestured for Bai Yue to come over. Bai walked over to Ying and looked at the burned area. She was surprised to find that the burned area quickly recovered at a visible speed to the naked eye. Before Ying was surprised, the birth sect leader spoke up first. "This is unbelievable. It's the first time Paimon has seen someone with such self-healing ability." Ying was speechless, and Paimon snatched what she wanted to say, just like her own mouth. Ying stared at Paimon with disdainful eyes. Paimon scratched his head in confusion, thinking he had said something wrong. "My name is Ying, what's your name, kid?" Ying asked softly in a very gentle tone. Bai Yue had just completely regained her senses and replied with a smile, "Sister, my name is Bai Yue. Thank you for saving me just now. Xia Baiyu, where do you live? We'll take you back." Bai Yue scratched her head awkwardly, smiled, and said awkwardly, "Sister Ying, you may not be able to take me back because I don't even come from this world." Ying was shocked to find that besides herself and her brother, there were actually other people from outside of this world. But Paimon, who was standing beside him, spoke in a skeptical tone. "I don't believe it. At first glance, you should be a child of the orcs. There are orcs on the continent of Tivit." Bai Yue felt a bit helpless. He had long anticipated that some people would not believe him. After all, there were indeed other orc tribes on the continent of Tivit, and his physical characteristics were just right. It was the fox race in Xianzhou, which was similar to the orc race on the continent of Tivit. Bai Yue could only patiently explain her origin. After hearing Bai Yue's explanation, Ying was still somewhat shocked, but she basically believed Bai Yue's words. After all, she and her brother did not come from this world. Paimon still has some disbelief. If Bai Yue said he doesn't come from this world, Paimon may still have some faith, but if Bai Yue said he may not come from this universe, Paimon would have some disbelief. "You said you come from another universe's ferry boat, can you tell me where the fairy city is?" Paimon felt that Bai Yue was just making up a story and questioning. Bai Yue knew that Paimon did not believe her words, so she could only patiently explain, "In our universe, there is a group of ferry boat alliances composed of star ships, who believe in the Emperor's bow and destiny. In short, I am from one of the Qingqiu ferry boats, and you live in a large number of fox humans." Although Paimon was still somewhat skeptical, he didn't say much. As Ying had no other clothes, Bai Yue was still wrapped in the brown fabric. Now he can only buy some clothes for him when he arrives at the nearest Mond city. They were walking towards the city of Mond and a huge black shadow swept through the sky and roared angrily, shaking the earth and causing birds and beasts to scatter around. Roar. So. What is that? Paimon saw the figure in the sky and was frightened and hid behind Ying. Ying saw clearly the blue dragon in the sky. "Let's go take a look." Speaking, Ying ran towards the forest with Bai Yue and Paimon. After running into the forest, the travelers hid behind a big tree and saw a young man dressed in green caressing his huge head in front of the dragon. The dragon suppressed the pain and restlessness emanating from its body and lowered its head. Click the sound of branches breaking. Who's there? The young man dressed in green suddenly turned around, his braids on both sides of his cheeks emitting a green light, and the wind elements around him seemed to become stronger. Roar. The dragon was also disturbed to the point of roaring. Bloody mouthed towards the young man in green, emitting an angry roar. The young man in green could only turn around and lift his arm to block it. Wow! Paimon was lifted away by the huge dragon roar, tightly gripping Ying's hair. Ying grabbed the big tree with one hand and tightly grabbed Ziyue with the other, who was about to be blown away. The dragon was frightened and flew away with a roar. It's a close call, fortunately I caught the traveler's hair. Fortunately, my hair hasn't fallen off. The evil Paimon, angry, grabbed the white floating object and gave it a fierce thrust. Wow! The traveler, stop it. Paimon won't dare anymore. Bai Yue picked up the brown fabric that had just been blown away by the giant dragon, and wrapped it around her again, like a robe. Sister Ying, and Paimon, you too, stop making trouble. We still have to go to Mon City, Bai Yue reminded in a voice. Ying just let go of Paimon. What is the relationship between that green-clothed boy and that blue dragon? Ying asked with some confusion. Who knows? Maybe the two of them are friends, and now they have a conflict, right? Bai Yue said nonchalantly. Wow! How did you know Bai Yue? Paimon asked curiously. I don't know, it's just a wild guess. Bai Yue couldn't say she had watched the plot. Paimon was a bit speechless, but didn't say much. The three continued to set off in the direction of Mon City. A burst of light footsteps came. A red figure fell in front of the traveler and his group. All right, a standard Westwind Knight's salute. May the wind god bless, deceive, you strangers. I am Amber, a reconnaissance knight of the Westwind Knights Order. Amber looked at the crowd with some caution. You are not citizens of Mon, please explain your identity. Bai Yue pretended to be a bit scared and hid behind Ying. Please calm down, we are not any suspicious individuals. Paimon was a bit panicked and quickly waved his hand in the air. Suspicious individuals say so. Still, Ying stood up and said, hello, I'm a traveler. My name is Ying, and this is the child we found on the road named Bai Yue. The white floating object in the air is the emergency food Paimon. Finally, Ying said with a hint of playfulness. Paimon is not an emergency food, Paimon stomped his foot in the air. Ying. Bai Yue. It doesn't sound like a local name. And what's going on with this emergency food? Hey. As I've said before, Paimon is not an emergency food. Paimon looked very cute with a puffed expression. Amber noticed Bai Yue hiding behind Ying. What a lovely child, even more adorable than my Count Rabbit. Oh. Why is he wrapped in a layer of rags? Amber said with some confusion. This is a long story. Ying covered her forehead and casually made up a reason, saying it was done by people from Qiuqiu. Qiuqiu people. Yeah. The despicable people of Qiuqiu have actually taken action against such a lovely child. The next time they see him, they will definitely not let it go. Forget it, it's not too late. Let's hurry up and leave. It's not a solution to keep wrapping this cloth around. Anbai felt a little resentful. Amber and the traveler arrived at the city of Mond. Let me formally introduce, the pastoral city of wind and rain dandelions, the capital of freedom, the city of Mond. Alright. Finally, there's no need to continue camping in the wilderness. Paimon happily spun around in the air a few times. Bai Yue, it's not too late. Let's hurry up and choose a few clothes for you. Sorry, I have to go back and report to the head of the piano group. You guys should go take a look yourself first, and I'll meet you later. It's okay, you go ahead and help yourself first. I'll leave first. After speaking, Amber walked towards the direction of the knights without looking back. Ying brought Bai Yue and Paimon to a clothing store and selected several fitting clothes for Bai Yue. Bai Yue put on a white coat and a black shorts, revealing her tail. A pair of white fox ears and fox tail, combined with her originally fair and tender skin and slender legs, looked very tempting at first glance. Wow! It's so cute, can you give my sister a hug? Bai Yue agreed without even thinking about it. After all, Ying was the first person he met in this world and had saved him. Of course, this requirement must be met. Ying was already hungry and thirsty, so she picked up Bai Yue and hugged her in her arms. She rubbed Bai Yue's small face and even touched his cute fox ears. So soft, so cute. I don't know why, I really want to keep holding on. Sister Ying, it's okay, it's okay. If this continues, I'm almost out of breath. Upon hearing Bai Yue's shout, Kai reluctantly put her down. By the way, Sister Ying, aren't we still going to meet up with Sister Amber? Upon hearing Bai Yue's reminder, Ying finally remembered it. The group arrived at the Fengshan Statue Square and met Amber. You're here, and Bai warmly greeted the traveler and his group. To thank the traveler for helping me clean up the Qiuqiu people's camp, I have decided to give you a gift. What is a gift? Is a gift delicious? Just think of the word Paimon and your eyes will light up. Amber took out the prepared wings of the wind. It's not Paimon, it's wings of the wind, Amber said with a smile. It turns out it's not something to eat. It seems that this gift is not suitable for Paimon. Paimon, why do you always think about eating all day? Ying shook her head somewhat helplessly. As soon as Bai Yue heard the wings of the wind, she became excited. I also want Sister Amber, can I? No, you're still too young now. This thing is too dangerous for you, Amber sternly refused. Ah! I also want the wings of the wind. My strength has not been restored, and my destiny is also in a deep sleep. Apart from some abundant recovery power, there is nothing left on me now. If I want to fly now, I must have the wings of the wind. No way. We must find a way to get one in hand. Bai Yue put on a pitiful look, and a few tears barely squeezed out of the corners of her eyes. Sister Amber, please. Amber couldn't bear to see Bai Yue like this. Okay. Okay. I can also send you one, but you must pay attention to safety. Thank you, Sister Amber. Bai Yue smiled happily. Wings of the wind, here we are. Now that you have obtained the wings of the wind, you still need to practice. The group arrived at a high place, in front of the Fengshan Statue Square. Detective knights rely on it to operate in the sky, and the citizens of Monde also enjoy using it. Amber took out 2 pairs of wind wings, like the wings of a bird. The wind is the soul of Monde, and of course, I am the first to let you feel its benefits. What an enthusiastic recommendation. Paimon also agreed. Alright, go give it a try. Bai Yue and Ying replaced themselves with the wings of the wind. Then, he jumped down from the Fengshan Statue Square. At first, Bai Yue felt a bit uncomfortable, but soon, based on her previous experience of flying with a sword, she mastered the wings of the wind. Wow __, Ying experienced this feeling for the first time and felt very magical. Roar! A furious roar echoed through the entire Monde. For a moment, a storm surged around the city of Monde, and the strong winds were constantly raging. A huge black shadow that obscures the sky and the sun soars above the city of Monde. Ah! Run for your life! The wind demon dragon is attacking the city again. Help! For a moment, the city of Monde became chaotic, with people busy running for their lives everywhere in chaos. Ah! Suddenly, a huge tornado rose from the ground and fell straight to the traveler's side. The huge airflow enveloped the traveler, who swept the screen up into the sky. Chapter 3. Bounce Bomb arrived. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Sister Ying. Bai Yue shouted out in panic. Although he had watched the plot, seeing this scene with his own eyes still made him sweat for Ying. Bai Yue watched helplessly as Ying's figure was swept into the high sky by the storm and swept up by Ying in the high sky. She hurriedly spread the wings of the wind and suspended in the air. From top to bottom, the entire city of Mond is at a glance. Wings of the wind, can you stay at such a high place? Travelers from a foreign land, it is I who have made the 1,000-year flow of wind, so that you will not fall. Who is speaking? Ying was somewhat puzzled and glanced at the group below, but did not notice the owner of the voice. I can't handle so much now, let's solve the current problem first. Subsequently, Ying used Wendy to endow the wind god with divine power, flying in the air while using wind elements to smash the wind demon dragon. After some twists and turns, the wind demon dragon was successfully repelled by Ying and temporarily withdrew from Mond, while Ying landed safely on the ground. Bai Yue and Bai ran over anxiously and asked anxiously, are you not injured? Of course not, I'm quite impressive. Sister Ying. What else did Bai Yue originally want to say? Before he could even speak, he walked up to Bai Yue's side, looked at his worried gaze, touched his head, and showed a reassuring smile. Pop pop pop. A round of applause rang out. Surprisingly possessing the power to fight against dragons, are you our guest or a new storm? Kaia, you scared them, and shouted with some displeasure. Cough cough, let me introduce you. This is Kaia, the cavalry captain of the Westwind Knights. Has Amber always been like this? Paimon looked at the crowd in confusion. Ha ha ha, don't be so nervous. I'm just joking to liven up the atmosphere. Also, our acting leader of the Shifeng Knights Order would like you to come and visit. After speaking, Kaia made a friendly gesture of invitation. In the office of the head of the knights, a figure kept moving around the room, occasionally looking towards the direction of the clock, as if anxiously waiting for something. At this moment, the woman reading quietly beside her seemed to be annoyed by the footsteps. She closed the book and gently supported the huge wizard hat, its brim. Qin, are you too anxious? Didn't you agree to meet them here? In a lazy tone, there seems to be an electric current, giving people a feeling of crispness and numbness. Now there is chaos in Mond City, and it seems that the wind demon dragon is also active outside the city. After seeing them, I want to do it as soon as possible. Before Qin could finish speaking, Lisa interrupted her, don't be in such a hurry, I will also go and help. Don't always carry it alone, don't forget that there are still us. Just as Lisa finished speaking, the door to the piano captain's office was opened, and a slightly frivolous voice came through. Acting team leader, I have brought it with me, and the rest will be handed over to you. It was none other than Amber and the traveler who came. Welcome to Mond, travelers who come with the wind. Qin greeted everyone with a very standard equestrian salute. Then he introduced to everyone, I am the acting team leader, Qin. This is Lisa, the librarian of the Knights Order. Lisa greeted everyone with a smile. After listening to Kaia's description, the two of them were already mentally prepared, but they couldn't help but be shocked and quickly withdrew their emotions. On behalf of Mond, please let me pay tribute to you. Qin then bowed to Ying. Let me first introduce the current situation. We have investigated the cause of the hurricane formation in the city, and the flow of the earth's veins is trapped in the temples guarded by the four winds. Our goal is to build 3 of them. 3 seats. Paimon has some doubts. Don't interrupt Paimon casually, listen to them finish speaking first, Bai Yue kindly reminded. Ying also glared at Paimon in anger. Oh. I'm sorry, Paimon knows. Paimon smiled to conceal his embarrassment. Lisa watched the interaction between the 3 and smiled lightly, saying, that's true. Next time, don't interrupt others casually, little cutie. Let me explain the situation next, Qin. After receiving Qin's promise, Lisa began to introduce herself. Wind Demon Dragon, or more accurately, we call it Tevelin. It used to be one of Mon's 4 Winds Guardians. What? How could this be possible? Not bad. After a long slumber, I woke up to find that I had been forgotten by the world. I believe its psychology was filled with resentment towards Mon. Qin answered Peimon's doubts and then said to the crowd. To quickly resolve the hurricane both inside and outside the city, we need to divide our troops into 3 routes. The 3 secret realms are the Lion of the South Wind, the Eagle of the West Wind, and the Wolf of the North Wind, all corresponding to the direction in their names. Traveler, we need your help, if you're willing. Ying agreed without even thinking about it. Bai Yue, can you stay here for now and come back to pick you up after my sister solves the problem? Sister Ying, I also want to go. In fact, Bai Yue is not very interested in these 3 temples. He is just a little curious and wants to see what these 3 temples look like. Although he had seen it in the game, it was the first time he had personally experienced it on the continent of Tivit. No way. You're still too young and don't have much self-protection ability. I'm afraid you'll encounter danger. Ying squatted down and gave Bai Yue a hug as comfort. Yeah. If the little cutie gets hurt, my sister will be heartbroken, Lisa said with a smile. Alright then, I'll stay in the Knight's Order for now. Your sister must come back early. Ying happily touched Bai Yue's little head and responded with a smile. Definitely. After speaking, everyone walked towards the door. After everyone left, Bai Yue felt a bit bored, just like the head of the piano group pleading. Sister Qin, can I take a stroll inside the Knight's Order? Don't worry, I won't go out. Qin, who was focused on processing the documents, paused for a moment and seemed very satisfied with the title, so he agreed to his idea. Okay, that's okay, but don't leave the Knight's inner circle now. I'm afraid you'll encounter danger. Well, thank you, Sister Qin. After obtaining Qin's consent, Bai Yue happily pushed the door open and left Qin alone in the office, focusing on processing the documents. As soon as Bai Yue left, a sinister smile appeared at the corner of her mouth. Finally came out, almost suffocating me. Now I have no combat power at all. Fortunately, when I first entered Mon City, I had already come up with a solution. Fortunately, when I was in Xianzhou before, I learned mechanism techniques to prepare for unexpected needs. Now, it has finally come in handy. Although there are some elements of my lack of skill, combined with my experience before Rebirth. It's more than enough to make a self-defense toy or something. The top priority now is to find the escaping little son, Kelly. Thinking about Bai Yue, another sinister smile appeared. I'm sorry, Lily. I need to borrow your bouncing bomb to use. I don't know where Kelly is, let's just look for her on the 1st floor now. Based on her previous gaming experience, Bai Yue searched the 1st floor and even entered Lisa's library, but still couldn't find any trace of Coley. Strange, Kelly is not in the confinement room, is she on the 2nd floor? Bai Yue thought for a moment. So after finding the staircase leading to the 2nd floor, I walked up and strolled around. Apart from many rooms, I still couldn't find the figure of Coley. It's really strange, why didn't you find Kelly's figure on the 2nd floor? Where did Kelly go? Bai Yue whispered to herself. Suddenly, a figure rushed out from behind him. Hee. Are you here to play with Kelly? Sigh, I'm fucked. Bai Yue was startled and turned to see a small hand pressing down on his mouth, preventing him from making any sound. Shoo, keep it down, it will bring the head of the piano group over. Woo-woo. Woo-woo. Woo-woo, Bai Yue made an okay gesture, but Li finally let go of her hand. How did you know Coley's name? Kelly asked in a low voice. That. The white moon's spiritual light flashed. Well. It must have been the head of the piano troupe who told me. The head of the piano band said, there is a little girl named Kelly who is about the same age as me but shorter than me. She also told me that she is a spark knight from the Westwind Knights and asked me to come and play with her. Kelly carefully examined Bai Yue. Bai Yue was a bit panicked when Kelly saw her, and she secretly thought to herself, have you been discovered? While he was pondering, Kelly suddenly exclaimed excitedly. Really? Are you really the head of the piano group? Did you come to play with me? Kelly is very happy. Of course. Bai Yue responded with a smile. Kelly quickly pulled Bai Yue into a room. Kelly, what are you playing with? Bai Yue asked knowingly. Hee, let's make bouncing bombs together, it's so fun. Can you give me a few of the prepared bouncing bombs? Kelly pondered for a while before agreeing. Okay, let's split the prepared bouncing bomb equally. Corey teaches you how to make a bouncing bomb. First, pour the gray powder in and then block this area. This way. And then again, when it's like a bouncing bomb, it's done. Isn't it very simple? Wow, Kelly is so amazing. Bai Yue deliberately put on a surprised expression. Of course, you also think Kelly is impressive. Kelly's vanity was greatly satisfied and very happy. Bai Yue and Kelly worked together to make a bouncing bomb. After a few hours of making it, Kelly had already fallen asleep on the table. Bai Yue found a bottle in the corner, put all the explosives from the bouncing bomb inside, and then put them into her pocket. The bouncing bombs made by Bai Yue are all duds and will not explode. After Kelly woke up, the two of them evenly divided the bouncing bombs, and of course, Bai Yue distributed a large amount of duds to her. Then I went downstairs and found the head of the piano group. After clearly informing him that he would not make a bouncing bomb, the head of the piano group agreed to take these bouncing bombs away. Hee, I got the bouncing bomb. Chapter 4 Evil Eyes. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Finally, it's over. Paimon can take a good rest now. Pai Meng, you haven't put in much effort, okay? I should say I'm the one who's tired, right? Ying said very displeased. Hee, don't worry about that. Pai Mengjia scratched his head with a smile. After resolving the ruins, the group returned to the knights. Sister Ying, you have finally returned. Bai Yue happily ran towards Ying. Have you come back yet? Are you injured? The head of the piano team also walked over to inquire. Of course not, I haven't taken this level seriously yet, Ying said confidently. As long as you're not injured, thank you for helping the traveler. After some pleasantries and reporting the situation to the leader of the Qin team, Qin looked a bit tired and suggested that she go to rest first. You're right, after a busy day, it's time to take a good rest. Traveler, please rest well, let's go out first. Lisa finished speaking and walked out with the others. It's getting late, so let's not disturb for now. Let's go find a place to live. If you need help, you can come to the knight's order to find me. Ying left the knights with Bai Yue and Pai Meng. Wow, I'm so tired. Bai Yue yawned and shook her head to wake herself up a bit. Bai Yue, you're also tired. It seems we need to find a place to rest quickly. The group found a rental house and rented it out, making it their temporary residence. I'm all dirty on my body, I need to give it a good wash. Bai Yue walked into the bathroom and took a good shower. After washing, my body appeared even whiter. What should I do? The hair on the tail is too thick, and once it gets wet, it's difficult to dry. Previously, it was possible to keep the tail and ears hidden. And now the power is gone, I can't even simply put away my tail and ears. I can only borrow Sister Ying's later, and the wind element will blow dry my tail. Bai Yue walked out of the bathroom wearing a white shirt and white shorts. Ying and Pai Meng, who had just returned from buying dinner outside, were surprised to see the newly refreshed white moon after taking a shower. This is too cute. It's hard to describe with words. Bai Yue yawned and rubbed her eyes, feeling an irresistible drowsiness. Sister Ying, can I borrow your wind element? You dry my tail, otherwise I won't be able to sleep today, which is wet. Ying certainly wouldn't miss this opportunity and agreed without even thinking about it. Ying finally controlled the park and erected it in her hand, gathering a small vortex of wind that, like a hair dryer, dried the tail of Bai Yue. Bai Yue didn't know why, feeling increasingly tired. She didn't even notice Ying grabbing her own tail and quickly fell asleep in Ying's embrace. Did you sleep so quickly? Hee hee. I'll eat Bai Yue's dinner for him. Ying patted Paimong's head and looked at her with anger. Oh, traveler, what are you doing? I'm just talking casually. Ying looked at Bai Yue in her arms, sleeping soundly without any signs of waking up, then looked at Paimong again and shook her head helplessly. Ying and Paimong, after finishing dinner and washing up, also went to bed. Ying looked at Bai Yue sleeping soundly in bed, her furry white fox tail revealing her tender white feet while wearing shorts. Suddenly, an evil idea came to her mind. So cute. No, he's just a child. How could I have such abnormal thoughts? Give it a hug, should it be okay? Just give it a hug, just give it a hug. Ying thought of gently holding Bai Yue in her arms like a doll, and even touched his tail with one hand. It's so soft, the smell on his body is so fragrant. Give it a kiss, he shouldn't notice it, right? Just a normal kiss. Ying gave Bai Yue a small peck on her cheek, and then fell asleep contentedly holding her. The next morning, Bai Yue woke up. As he had not eaten anything last night, his stomach had already begun to protest. I'm hungry. Sister Ying should have prepared dinner for me last night, right? Bai Yue searched for it and finally saw a little leftover fisherman's toast on the table, while the culprit was sleeping soundly on the table, with some residue on the corner of her mouth. Paimon, what's going on? Did something happen? After hearing the voice of Bai Yue, Paimon woke up from his sleep in a daze. Paimon, why did you steal my dinner from yesterday? Bai Yue angrily questioned Paimon, who was very embarrassed. Paimon rubbed his 2 fingers and replied with some embarrassment. Hee hee. Paimon got up too hungry in the middle of the night last night and happened to see the remaining dinner on the table, so he couldn't help but eat it all. I'm sorry, Bai Yue. Bai Yue angrily grabbed one of Paimong's feet and threatened. Paimong, I'm hungry now and I'm wondering if I should make a braised Paimong. Paimong was frightened and quickly broke free from the shackles of Bai Yue, then hurriedly waved his hand and said in a panic. Paimong is not delicious, don't eat Paimong. That won't work. The 2 little ones were just like this, chasing and playing in the room. Ying, who was sleeping, was also awakened by the sound of the 2 little ones playing. Early in the morning, what are you 2 arguing about? Bai Yue saw Ying wake up and quickly reported it. Sister Ying, Paimong, stole the dinner I didn't have last night. I'm so hungry now. Bai Yue's cheeks glared angrily at Paimong, who felt a little flustered and awkwardly scratched his head. Alright, stop making trouble. Don't be angry, Bai Yue. How about I take you out to eat delicious food? Upon hearing the food, Paimon became excited. Okay, let's go eat something delicious. Ying glanced at the few remaining mora in her wallet and then at the 2 little ones that were already full, her emotions very complicated. Bai Yue is still growing, eating a little too much doesn't matter, but how did this small body like Paimong hold so much food? Ying was very helpless, constantly roaring in her heart. But looking at the lovely white moon, the originally bad mood was swept away. Ying picked up Bai Yue and rubbed his cheek. Are you full? Are you feeling calm now, my little cutie? Bai Yue let out a sigh, he didn't resist Ying, as long as she didn't behave excessively. Ying let go of Bai Yue and shook her head with a headache. We have very few remaining moras left, we need to find a way to transfer them. It's all Paimon's fault. Who told her to eat too much? Bai Yue muttered softly. What? How could it all be blamed on Paimon? You've eaten quite a bit, haven't you? That's not as much as you eat, Bai Yue retorted angrily. You are really angry, Paimon. Paimon must give you a very unpleasant nickname, just call it. Paimon suddenly had a flash of inspiration, and then what came to mind? From now on, I'll call you Xiao Bai. Pooh, what kind of nickname? How come it sounds like a puppy's name, you emergency food? Listening to the two of them chattering incessantly, Ying's already somewhat irritable mood became even more irritable, and she directly gave it to Paimon. I originally wanted to give Bai Yue a touch, but looking at his cute face, I couldn't bear to touch his head as punishment. Paimon felt a bit unhappy when he saw that only he had been taught a lesson. Traveler, why are you only hitting me? You're too double-standard, aren't you? Ying glared at Paimon in anger, and Paimon was scared out of his wits. Traveler, have you gone to Mora? Amber left and came over to greet the traveler. Amber heard all of their conversation just now. It's a bit, Ying smiled awkwardly. If you go to Mora, you can go inside the Knight's Order to receive missions, and the Knight's Order will give you a generous reward. Really? Paimon appeared very excited. Of course it's true. In the following days, Ying often took on missions from the Knights and Adventurers Association, but without exception, he did not bring White Moon with him and often entrusted it to the Knights for supervision. Every time Bai Yue suggested going together, she was sternly rejected by Ying, always refusing him on the grounds that he was too young to protect himself. I'm so angry. Every time I go on a mission or adventure, I don't bring it with me. Sister Ying also looks down on me too much. And there's also that Paimon. When I see his proud gaze, I get very angry. Bai Yue strolled around the Knights of Mond while complaining. He originally wanted to sneak out of Mond City, but every time the knight at the door refused to let him out, which made him very frustrated. It's so boring. Staying in Mond City every day is not interesting at all. I originally wanted to make some self-defense props, but they didn't even let me out. There are no materials I need in this city, so I'm really frustrated. Bai Yue suddenly saw a figure and walked over not far away. He rubbed his eyes. No mistake, that seems to be a fool's lady. How could she be here? Bai Yue thought for a moment and suddenly came up with the reason. According to Mon's plot, the lady should have come here to snatch the heart of the gods. I came up with another good idea. Since I don't have the eye of God, why don't I secretly borrow an evil eye from fools to use? Anyway, I have the blessing of the abundant star god. There is no need to worry about consuming vitality at all. The vitality in my body cannot be completely depleted right now. Bai Yue secretly followed the lady, who disappeared at the corner of a small alley. Strange, where did it go? Why did it suddenly disappear? Little cutie, do you have anything to do with me? The lady suddenly rushed out from behind him and had already noticed that someone was following her, only to find out now that she was just a child. Big sister, are you the executor of fools? Is the code name, Madam? Bai Yue directly revealed her identity. Oh, little cutie, it seems you're not easy. The lady was not flustered at all, but suddenly had a temper and wanted to see what the child was going to say. Big sister, are you trying to seize the divine heart of the wind god? The lady never expected that a very cute-looking little boy would know about their plan of fools, but she still did not show any panic and at best tied the child up. Anyway, in such a large city of Mond, a missing child should not be counted on the heads of their fools, right? Don't worry, I won't expose your plan. I just want to borrow something from you. Oh, what do you want to borrow? What do you think we fools have to lend you? If I remember correctly, among the fools, there is a thing called evil eyes, which should be quite abundant. Can you give me a Rosalind? Madam, as an executor of fools, she should have had an evil eye on her hand, at most she didn't use it herself. Originally, you wanted this kind of vitality-consuming little toy. Since the little cutie wants it, let's give it to you as a gift. The lady took out a wicked eye from her pocket and threw it to Bai Yue, then asked curiously. Little cutie, you have to think carefully. Slanting your eyes can consume vitality. You're still so young, aren't you afraid to lose your life? Don't worry about this Rosalind's sister, right? I have my own solution. Oh, what's the solution? Can you tell me for my sister? Of course I won't tell you. After speaking, Bai Yue turned around and prepared to leave, but who is the lady? He is the 8th executive officer of the Fools. How could someone who knows their fool's plan say they want to play with something and easily leave like this? What if the other party is a child? Still she won't let anyone reveal their plans. Stop. Little devil, don't you think you can easily leave with the things we planted as fools? I always feel like you have a secret. If you were given to a doctor for research, maybe something could be discovered. As she spoke, the lady prepared to take action, but Bai Yue remained calm and rushed out of the alley with just one swift step, then shouted loudly. Fools executives are bullying children. Damn it, we can't let him call us down anymore. Hee hee. Bai Yue used the power of her evil eyes to release a flame from her hand, repelling the lady, then turned around and ran towards the direction of the knights at the fastest speed. Damn it. It's a great shame to let this little ghost run away. Don't let me catch you again, let me catch you, it's not as good as you. After speaking, the lady walked towards the secret base of the fools in Mon City. This lady is also too confident. She really thought that I had lived for over 100 years and was living in vain. She even arrogantly thought that I couldn't escape. When she thought about his way of thinking he was in control of the situation, but ended up eating and holding back, it was simply ridiculous. Directly and forcefully lowering the intelligence of the lady. Anyway, the evil eye has arrived. Although the abundant power in the body has not been fully restored, it is more than enough to offset the side effects brought by the evil eye. Bai Yue ran to the knights and hid his evil eye on him. He was not afraid of fools coming to trouble him within the knights, after all, they dared not act recklessly on the surface. Chapter 5. The Legend of Kaia Mission. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Bai Yue ran back to the knights panting heavily. Hee hee, little fools, they still want to catch me, it's like they're thinking of nothing to eat, ha ha ha. It's so easy, they just tricked the evil eye. I truly deserve it. I can compete with that big scammer like Barbados. Ah, bah, I'm not a big scammer. Bai Yue played a prank on the fools and the executive, lady, was secretly delighted. At this moment, a sound of footsteps walked over, and Bai Yue was a bit complacent and didn't pay attention to who the newcomer was. Ha! Isn't that Bai Yue? Why is he at the door? Paimon looked at Bai Yue muttering to himself, somewhat puzzled. Ying had just completed the task of the knights and was returning to hand over the task when she saw Bai Yue muttering to herself at the entrance of the knights, looking very happy. Bai Yue, what are you doing? With a look of overjoyed, hee hee, why not tease him now? He has been busy with tasks these days, burning Mora and not having time to care about Bai Yue. Ying, with a somewhat lewd smile, quietly walked around behind Bai Yue, blindfolded him, and picked him up. Ah! Who is it? Do fools dare to openly run to the knights? No, absolutely not caught, otherwise it will be troublesome. Bai Yue is just a group of extremely panic and anxious people. He thinks that he has been caught by the fools, and he is going to use the power of evil eyes to launch an attack to get out of the way, when he heard a voice familiar to him. Hee hee, guess who I am? Ying mischievously smiled. So it's Sister Ying. I thought the fools were catching up, they really scared me to death. This scum's scream is really bad. Humph, forget it, who asked her to take care of me? Let's just try to cooperate. So Bai Yue deliberately pretended to be worried and spoke in some panic. Who is it? Is it Sister Ying? Don't scare me. Watching Bai Yue's worried and anxious expression, Ying's heart was filled with joy. Bai Yue's scared appearance is really cute, but it's better not to tease him. If it goes wrong, it won't be good. Ying gently put down Bai Yue and touched his head. I'm scared. Sister Ying, I was scared to death. I thought I had encountered a bad person. Don't make such boring jokes in the future, otherwise I will be angry. Bai Yue hugged her hands and snorted angrily. Alright, I was just teasing you. What would you like to eat? Sister, I'll take you to eat something delicious. Alright, we're going to have some delicious food, Paimon exclaimed happily. Whenever it comes to food, Paimon always gets very excited. Paimon, you big foodie, your belly is like a bottomless pit, but don't eat up all of Sister Ying's mora. I'm ignoring you. Paimon was in the air, stomping his feet in anger, as if he couldn't coax 10 sweet and beautiful chickens. Ying looked at the daily bickering between the two little ones and smiled contentedly. Alright. We've made enough mora for you two to eat in the past few days. Now let's hurry up and order some dishes. Okay, we're off to eat some delicious food. Paimon's attitude can undergo a 180-degree reversal as long as there is food to eat. The traveler and his group arrived at the Deer Hunter restaurant and ordered a pile of delicious food, most of which were ordered by Paimon. You're so full. Paimon is already satisfied. Paimon collapsed on the stool and patted his bulging belly. The corners of Bai Yue's mouth couldn't help but twitch. Just Paimon ate 25,000 moles, and she could only sigh in her heart. She truly deserves to be Ying, and only she can afford such a delicious Paimon. Has Bai Yue eaten enough? Ying smiled and asked. I'm full. Bai Yue responded casually, but as soon as she saw Ying's slightly abnormal gaze, a bad feeling surged in her heart. Sister Ying, why are you looking at me like that? Your eyes are so lewd. You're full, sister. Ying's eyes narrowed into crescent moon, with a smiling expression that looked very lewd. So why don't you order more dishes? Sha. Woo. Not yet. When Bai Yue spoke, Ying picked him up and placed him on her own legs, holding him in her arms. Bai Yue, why are you so cute? Can I touch your tail? Ying rubbed against Bai Yue's cheek and ran his fox ear. Bai Yue struggled in Ying's arms, but could not break free no matter what. Sister Ying, I can't. The tail is my sensitive part, how can people touch it casually? Kaia, who was about to come over and pit a traveler, couldn't help but twitch her lips when she saw this scene. It seems that I didn't come at the right time. I'll leave first and come back another day. Wait, Kaia. Kaia was about to turn around and leave when she was stopped by Paimon. Ying saw someone else here and felt embarrassed. She quickly released Bai Yue and coughed awkwardly. Cough. Kaia, what's up? Kaia awkwardly scratched her head and smiled as she spoke. It's like this, there's actually something that's not convenient for my colleagues in the Knight's Order to know. I have to ask for your help. I would like to take a step forward and talk to you. Is it not possible to say it here? Of course, Bai Yue knew that he had to find them. Before his rebirth, he did the legendary task of Kaia when playing Genshin Impact, but finally he only gave a 3-star Dawn Sword. At that time, Bai Yue, who was still playing this game, was fooled and almost scolded in anger. No one expected that after working so hard for so long, he was only given a Samsung Dawn Divine Sword. For this Samsung professional, any 10 can even draw 5 Dawn Divine Swords. But Bai Yue, on second thought, seemed to be able to take advantage of this opportunity to embark on an adventure with Ying, take the opportunity to collect useful parts, and then create some self-defense toys. Watching Kaia leave behind, Paimon hugged his chest and said, what could have caused such a mysterious situation? Keep up quickly. Paimon saw that the traveler and his group had not yet followed, so he shouted. Ying quickly grabbed Bai Yue's small hand and followed Kaia with Paimon. Kaia led the traveler and his group into an empty alley before speaking up. I'll tell you a secret, don't tell anyone, especially the colleagues of the knights. Actually, my grandfather is a pirate. Paimon / what? Ying / Bai Yue, oh. Your reactions are a bit too cold and indifferent, aren't you both surprised? Kaia felt a bit aggrieved. Bai Yue just wanted to play a trick on Kaia in her heart. Oh, really? Can you tell me what your relationship is with Grandpa Derived? The corner of Bai Yue's mouth showed an imperceptible curve, and he wanted to see what would happen if he had broken the relationship between Kaia and Derived in advance. White Moon child, it seems that you still know a lot. Since you know everything, I won't keep it a secret. Let's be honest. This was something that Bai Yue didn't expect. After breaking the relationship, Kaia was so frank. I want you to accompany me in a performance. I will definitely give you a reward then. Tell me earlier. I didn't expect you to still try to deceive us. It's really ungrateful. Paimon hugged his chest in the air with a small hand and said with some frustration. Then I'll leave it to you. Don't worry, the task of finding the treasure is up to us, right traveler? Ying covered her forehead and shook her head, feeling somewhat helpless. Paimon, should I say you got into the show too quickly, or did your brain grow in your stomach? Sister Ying, can I go on an adventure with you this time? Bai Yue looked at Ying with an expectant gaze, hoping she would agree. Ying glanced at Bai Yue and then thought for a moment. Anyway, this time it's all acting, so there shouldn't be too much danger. If there is danger, then be careful, there shouldn't be too much problem. Okay then. But remember to always be by my side. Bai Yue responded for a moment. Let's set off now. Chapter 6. The Treasure of Arcadia. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The group, like the original plot, began to act and deliberately found a place with few people. Last night, I flipped through the notes left by my grandfather and occasionally found news of the treasure left by him. Treasure. Paimon's eyes lit up. According to the notes, it seems that the treasure is buried in the lost Arcadian ruins. But where is the specific location of the site? There is currently no clue. Paimon couldn't help but say, Kaia. Kaia. What kind of treasure is that? Is it gold or a gemstone? Kaia smiled and then said. There is only a treasure trove of treasure, but it's just a third-rate item. My grandfather's treasure is a divine sword that can obtain invincible power. Legend has it that sword, but the deity on Sky Island fell into the sea and was accidentally salvaged by my grandfather. In the moment of grasping the hilt of the sword, lightning flashed and thunder roared, huge waves surged, and a storm suddenly swept up in the originally clear sea. Relying on the power of the divine sword, my grandfather defeated 8 sea demons, silver-haired female demons, and abyssal evil dragons all the way. But because this force was particularly powerful, it was coveted by other pirates, so my grandfather hid the divine sword. Paimon was already excited and couldn't control himself. He spun in circles in the air and said, Wow, wow. This is simply, really amazing. If she didn't know that it was acting, Bai Yue almost believed herself. She had to say that in the Genshin Impact, Kaia's ability to cheat people is really something. Together with Babados, it can be called the lying dragon and chicken chick combination of the two people in the Genshin Impact. There has been a group of thieves recently, and the treasure group is very active. Several cultural relics have been stolen from relics. I am worried that if this divine sword falls into their hands. Before Kaia could finish speaking, Paimon quickly interrupted. Kaia, don't worry, this matter is up to us. That's really great. Remember to keep it a secret for me, I'll wait for your good news. Kaia smiled and said. Let's first go to the Adventurers Association to inquire about the intelligence. As for the ruins, the adventurers are more familiar with it. Paimong's demonstration was almost indestructible, and it looked like it was real. He immediately rushed towards the direction of the Adventurer Association, flying faster than usual. Paimon! Wait for us! Ying shouted loudly, but it seemed useless, so she quickly chased after her. Why doesn't the Adventurers Association have any clues? Paimon floated in the air with a lost expression, looking disheartened. Alright, Paimon, in a situation like this, let's go back and ask Kaia. Bai Yue comforted Paimon Dao. Hey! You guys back. Did you bring any good news? Kaia waited here early for the traveler and his group. We inquired around, but couldn't find any news. Paimon said dejectedly. Of course. Kaia smiled. What? Everyone locked their eyes on Kaia. I mean, if the ruins of Arcadia were easy to find, my grandfather wouldn't be there anymore. Kaia awkwardly smiled and immediately turned the lie around. The play is too real. Bai Yue can't help roast, but there is no change in her expression. I just sent someone to the underground intelligence exchange, and it seems that someone knows the relevant clues to the Arcadia ruins. They have arranged for an informant to connect with us. As a knight, it's inconvenient for me to come forward, so I would like to ask 3 of you to run for me. Thank you very much. I have already reimbursed the intelligence expenses for you. Paimon was already laughing so hard that he couldn't close his mouth. It was unclear whether he was laughing in the act or if he had already been deeply involved in the play. Hee hee. This matter is up to us. Is this the place where the informant connects? Why didn't anyone see it? Whisper Forest. Paimon looked left and right, looked around, and scratched his head in confusion. Paimon, be more patient. It's possible that the informant hasn't arrived yet. Ying walked ahead with youthful steps and patience. Hey! Ying, look over there. There's a girl in danger there. Let's go up and help quickly. Paimon flew high in the sky and saw several hill people chasing a girl in the distance. Ying asked Bai Yue to hide behind the tree, and she immediately rushed over. Ying summoned the sword without a blade in her hand and blocked the fleeing veil. She waved her sword without a blade in her hand, got up and jumped, rolling up a green tornado. The tornado swept the people of Chocho into the area it reached, annihilating them all. Yeah. The remaining people of Chocho were startled and saw their companions turning into ashes, heading towards the earth's veins. Wind Blade, the elements of Yingsho's stroke converged into the Wind Vortex sword, annihilating all the remaining autumn people. Sister Ying, she's too handsome, isn't she? Bai Yue looked at Ying with admiration in her eyes. Ying was praised by Bai Yue, and her heart was filled with joy. Sigh. How could such a thing happen? If I had known, I wouldn't have helped him with this. Wei, who was standing beside her, was a bit startled and murmured softly. Thank you for taking the initiative to save us. We almost got into big trouble. You are much more reliable than the Westwind Knights. You're welcome, there's no one else here, right? You should be the informant who connects with us. Are you travelers? I've heard of your intelligence, but I didn't expect to be saved by the liaison. Will said with some excitement. I didn't know how to repay you in the first place. Since that's the case, I'll give you the intelligence for free. Business people know the importance of making more friends. Really? Thank you so much. Paimon said happily. After bidding farewell to Vale, the 3 of them began to ponder puzzles. In the city of the lake, there lived 3 6-armed giants, 2 guardian deities, and 1 guarding the treasures of the gods. What exactly is this? Paimon couldn't figure it out and looked at the 2 with a pleading gaze. It's really difficult for Paimon to solve puzzles with her intelligence. Let's go back and ask Kaia. Ying suggested. At this moment, Bai Yue spoke up and said, No need, Sister Ying, I already know the answer. Lake City, do you think there is a lake city in Mond? Besides Mond, are there any other lake cities? You're right, you're too smart. Bai Yue. Ying praised it. Paimon flew happily, his hands resting on Bai Yue's shoulders. What else? What else? What's next? Ying also showed an expectant gaze, placing her hands on her chest. The six-armed giant should be a windmill. There happen to be 3 windmills in Mon City, and the windmills also happen to have 6 blades. 2 guardian deities, one guarding the treasures of the gods, should refer to the clue on one of the windmills. Bai Yue watched the plot in advance and recounted the rest of the story. Since we already know the answer, let's start now. Ying urged a little. Let's go, let's go. Paimon danced with excitement. On the windmill, the 3 of them pulled out a note from the box. She didn't love him at all. Qingxuan's passion was unrestrained, only needed to surface, and only in the cold silence did her heart reveal its truth. Is that the answer again? Paimon feels so tired and dizzy, probably using his brain too much. Bai Yue glared at Paimon with great displeasure. Have you ever used your brain? Ying also spoke in the same voice. Bai Yue still relies on you this time. I don't have much more nonsense. I think it should be in Qingchuan town. Qingchun happens to have 2 types of matches, so let's go to Qingchuan town and have a look. Let's go then. Ying spoke up and said. Who? Finally climbed up. Paimon floated in the air, looking tired and exhausted. Are you flying well? What muscle are you using when flying? Ying followed closely behind and climbed over the steep cliff. My phantom limb is clearly very tired, okay. Paimon also wants to defend himself. Bai Yue quickly grabbed the rope, and I pulled you up and shouted on the screen. Bai Yue tied the rope to her body, and Ying pulled the rope for a while before Bai Yue was pulled up. Looking at the 3 ice elements here, Fang Ying and Paimon fell into contemplation. Only when she is cold and lonely will her heart reveal its truth. Does it mean that we need the power of ice elements? Ying pondered and felt a little headache, looking at the 3 elemental square steels and helplessly said. Why don't we go back and find Kaia? There was a commotion coming from the grass near Bai Yue. He opened the grass and saw an ice slime. Sister Ying, no need. There's an ice slime hidden here that can be diffused with your wind element. That's right. I never thought of it. It's such a good idea. Ying Jiang drove ice slime to the position of the element steel and used the wind vortex sword to spread the ice element from ice slime to the 3 element steels. The element steel was lit up in this way. Look at the clues now, Bai Yue reminded the 2 of them. Ying saw a box appearing in the middle of 3 element square steels. Paimon flew over first and opened the box. Great, all the answers have been solved. It really took a lot of effort. This treasure painting is really messy, it does seem like it was made by pirates. So next. Let's go search for the treasure. Ying answered in advance. That's right. It's exactly what Paimon thought. Paimon nodded happily. Paimon, can't you help? Bai Yue can't help but complain about Paimon again. Humph, Paimon, I'm too lazy to argue with you. It's important to set off to search for the treasure. If someone else takes the lead, it would be troublesome, such as what Kaia mentioned before about the treasure-stealing group. Anyway, we need to hurry up. Eagle Soaring Beach. Is the ruins of Arcadia right here? Paimon looked around at the dilapidated and desolate appearance. How do you feel a bit? Is it dilapidated? It's not that the more ordinary a place is, the easier it is to be ignored. Places like this are particularly easy to be ignored, Bai Yue said first. Ah, yes. That's what Paimon thinks too. Entering the ruins of Arcadia, I saw many autumn people and some elderly corridors along the way. Ying asked Bai Yue to hide behind her, and Ying called for a sword without a sharp edge. For her, none of the elemental powers of these Chiu people needed to be used. All the problems of dividing 3 by 5 by 2 will be solved. After solving the Chiu people, the group continued to move forward. Is this the end? Paimon looked incredulously at the hall, which had nowhere to go. Treasure. Where exactly is the treasure hidden? Paimon flew excitedly everywhere. Hee, there's no need to trouble you next. We'll take over the rest. Thank you very much. A loud laugh came from behind. How many masked people walked over holding various tools? The members of the treasure-stealing group. You're really smart, but now you realize it's a bit late. Let me introduce myself first. My name is Yizad. Puzzy. Ha. 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 X3. The three of them laughed at the same time, and after acting all the way, they finally stopped acting. I'm really laughing to death, shouldn't anyone think there's really any treasure here? Bai Yue had already laughed uncontrollably. I've been acting all the way, and finally Paimon can skip it. What are you laughing at? The members of the treasure-stealing group looked at each other, feeling inexplicable. The three of them ignored the bewilderment of the treasure-stealing group and still laughed heartily. Humph. Are you three looking down on us? As long as I give a command, my brothers outside will come in to greet you, and then I'll see if you're laughing or not. The three finally stopped smiling, and Ying just shouted out loud. Kaia, it's time to take action. You're really impatient. It's a bit embarrassing to disturb you at such a happy time. As for your brothers, they won't come now. Kaia's figure walked out, followed by fully armed members of the Westwind Knights who rushed out, instantly taking control of the scene. What? People from the Knights. Izad suddenly panicked. Kaia, are our acting skills pretty good? Paimon looked very confident, as if seeking praise. Not bad. Not bad. Your acting skills are so amazing that even I almost believe them. Thank you very much for your help this time. How could the pirate group still not figure out what exactly happened now? Damn it, I was fooled. Izad became angry with embarrassment. I never expected that knights would also use this kind of despicable means. As a thief, don't casually comment on the knight's wisdom. Wait, what do you want to do? Who wants to be caught by you? I'll take a step first. Izad saw signs of looseness on a wall, which must be a hidden passage. He immediately swung his pickaxe and chiseled it through. If you can find a secret passage, you can slip away. Ha ha ha. Boom. The rubble collapsed, and the dark path he had anticipated did not appear, only. Chapter 7. Title edited by Paimon. You are listening at novelfull.audio. What the hell is this? This. Izad panicked and all the tools in his hand fell to one side. A big one-eyed creature lit up, flickering with a dangerous red light. Its massive steel body was carved with ancient patterns, and it was covered with traces left by time. Two sturdy steel arms lifted the surrounding water and stones, and their hands supported the ground, causing the huge steel body to stand up. It's not good to be a relic guard. Kaia's face was solemn. All members of the Knight's Order, leave here first. It's really causing trouble. Ah. Everyone is moving together, what should we do, Ying? Paimon was frightened and hid behind Ying. Bai Yue, quickly hide. Ying Bai Yue is guarding behind her, and the sword without a blade in her hand has been summoned to confront the massive ruins guards. Help me, Knight, I'll find a way. Izad was so scared that he couldn't care about so much anymore, so he quickly ran away and crawled around. Boom. The ruins guard waved his huge steel arm and threw it at the crowd. Help me. I apologize, you can do whatever you want, please help me. Izad was almost hit by the attack just now. If that hit him, he probably wouldn't be able to gather all his body. Sigh. Let's add a little extra class, traveler. Let's work together to deal with the ruins guards. Ying nodded, her gaze fixed on the ruins guard. His weakness is his eyes attacking his eyes. Bai Yue spoke up first. Kaia looked at him with a skeptical expression, but now, faced with this crisis, she couldn't think too much. The two of them leaped forward and dodged the swinging iron fist. Ying took off, leaped high, her body displaying an elegant curve, and then continued to exert force in the air, holding the seamless sword with both hands in reverse, fiercely piercing into the lone eye of the ruins guard. Kaia also refused to be outdone and temporarily restricted the hands and feet of the relic guards with ice elements. The ruins, guarding this massive body, collapsed like this. Did it end so easily? This was something that Paimon never expected. He thought it was a fierce battle, but he didn't expect it to end so soon. You two are too powerful, aren't you? Ying and Kaia were about to leave with everyone when suddenly the red light of the ruins guard lit up again, and 6 cannons on their bodies emitted flames, attacking the crowd. Boom! 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 Sister Ying, quickly dodge. Bai Yue rushed over and pushed Ying away, and all the shells fired by the ruins guard fell on him. White Moon. Ying looked at Bai Yue and pushed herself away in order to save her, while Bai Yue endured all the attacks. Ying looked at the ruins guard in front of her with an extremely resentful gaze. Amidst a mix of sadness and anger, Ying held a sword without a sharp edge, and a large amount of wind elements gathered in her hand. With one slash, she unleashed a terrifying green sword aura. The ruins guard was split in half by this massive sword energy, completely losing his mobility, and the wall behind him was also affected by the sword energy, resulting in a deep sword cut. Ying was very panicked and ran towards Bai Yue to check his injuries. Kaia looked regretfully and understood that if a normal person were hit by these 6 shells at the same time, the outcome would be self-evident. Bai Yue's body was completely black from the explosion, with serious wounds all over her body and her flesh rotting, completely losing its vitality. White Moon. Ying burst into tears in great pain. This companion, whom she had only known for a few days, would ultimately sacrifice her life to save herself. Bai Yue. Paimon's gaze was also very disappointed, losing its former charm. As Kaia was about to come over to comfort him, he saw an unforgettable scene in his life. Cough. 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 Bai Yue coughed a few times, and her injuries healed at a visible speed to the naked eye. After a while, her injuries returned to their original state. This. How could this be possible? Kaia looked at Bai Yue, who was held in Ying's arms, with a very shocked expression. Sister Ying, stop crying. I'm still alive, but the explosion just now hurt a bit. Cough. Ying saw Bai Yue, who was reviving from death in her arms, and in an instant, she burst into tears of joy and hugged him tightly. How could this be possible? It's almost blown to ashes, yet it can still survive. Paimon was greatly shocked and looked at Bai Yue with a monster-like gaze. Fortunately, with abundant blessings, otherwise I would have almost died. Bai Yue sighed in her heart, saying that things that once made her life unbearable and repulsive could always save her life at critical moments. Sister Ying, can you loosen up a bit? I'm almost out of breath. Upon hearing the voice of Bai Yue, Ying finally released her tightly held hand. Bai Yue, are you okay? How do you feel? Paimon flew over to inquire with concern. Do you think I can be okay with this? Bai Yue looked at Paimon with a hint of unhappiness. Paimon awkwardly scratched his head. My body was blacked out by the explosion, and my clothes were also destroyed. What should I do? Put this on your body first. Kaia left and came over to take off her coat and hand it to Bai Yue. Bai Yue didn't hesitate and wrapped her clothes around her body. Alright, since everything has been resolved, let's hurry back, otherwise we'll encounter some trouble later and it won't be good. Also make a sound to remind. The group returned to the city of Mond like this. As soon as they left, a figure appeared. It's unbelievable. Madam is indeed right in guessing. This child is really special, we need to report this matter to Madam as soon as possible. A dead handler of the fools once again entered an invisible state and quickly walked towards the fool's stronghold. After returning to the city, Bai Yue quickly returned to the bathroom, took a shower, washed the black area on her body completely white, and then changed into a white T-shirt and shorts. After taking a shower, it's really comfortable. It's just that it's difficult to dry the tail every time, isn't it too troublesome? Bai Yue felt very helpless in her heart. Her furry fox tail had very strong fur, and it felt soft and comfortable to touch. However, once it got wet, it was difficult to dry. It's okay, sister can help you blow dry. Bai Yue responded. Ying uses the power of wind elements to help dry Bai Yue's tail bit by bit. The tail has finally dried, thank you, Sister Ying. Hey, what is this? Paimon originally wanted to throw away the clothes that Bai Yue had changed into, but he discovered Bai Yue's hidden evil eye inside. Why does this thing look a bit like the Eye of God? But its appearance looks completely different from the Eye of God, and it also has a very evil aura. Paimon handed his slanted eyes to Ying, who picked them up and carefully measured them. Bai Yue suddenly panicked. It's terrible. Why didn't you hide it? It was discovered now, but fortunately, the two of them don't know what evil eye is. We can only deceive it. Sister Ying, Paimon, this is not the Eye of God, this is. By the way, this is the glass ball I accidentally found, ah yes. This is the glass ball. Ha ha ha. So it's just a glass ball, why does it always give people a sense of unease? Although Paimon was somewhat skeptical, he did not overthink it. Since it's a glass ball, I'll give it back to you. Ying returned the evil eye to Bai Yue without much thought. By the way, isn't Kaia saying that as long as we help him act, he will give us a generous reward? Paimon suddenly remembered this matter. Ah, yes, I remember it too, Ying said with a sudden realization. Then let's go and receive the reward quickly. Paimon mentioned, Sister Ying, I'm a bit tired. You can go by yourself, just remember to bring me a dinner. Bai Yue yawned and said. Then you go to bed first, we'll be back soon. Bai Yue responded. After leaving the screen, Bai Yue renovated and reassembled the hidden gunpowder and bouncing bomb shells. Unexpectedly, I was bombed by a relic guard. I'm really angry, and I can only blame my weak strength now. Let's make some new small toys first. This way, I won't be so embarrassed next time. Bai Yue mixed a small amount of sugar and explosives together to enhance its power, then modified and reduced the shell of the bouncing bomb, and finally created 3 complete high-explosive grenades and 1 semi-finished grenade. Finally done, we need to find an opportunity to test our power. Bai Yue quickly hid these things. At this moment, Ying and Paimon also returned. I'm really angry. The agreed reward is just a dawn sword and a small bag of mora. Paimon's cheeks were filled with anger as his small hands waved wildly. Ah, forget about Paimon, let's just treat it as a daily commission. Ying comforted Paimon, who was still somewhat angry. Sister Ying, you guys are back. Bai Yue lay in bed, looking like she had just woken up. Of course, all of this was just a pretense. Ying looked at Bai Yue lying in bed, feeling a bit unhappy, and suddenly it was swept away. I have prepared 2 servings of fish man toast and a glass of milk for you, hurry up and eat. Ying walked over and sat on the bed, touching Bai Yue's head, and then handed him the food. After finishing dinner, Bai Yue lay in bed and slept soundly. After washing up, Ying looked at Bai Yue sleeping soundly in bed, holding him in her arms like a doll. She kissed his small face and slept contentedly. At this moment, Paimon was already asleep in a corner of the bed. Chapter 8. Hey! It's time to unleash the nature of the bear child. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Due to the previous incident, Ying dared not bring White Moon with her, whether it was a mission for the Knights or the Adventurers Association. Sister Ying, why didn't you take me to play again this time? Ying was very helpless, looking at Bai Yue's lovely face, feeling a bit impatient, but in the end, she remained firm. No, I'm afraid you'll get hurt like last time. Sister doesn't want you to get hurt, so just stay in the city obediently. After refusing Bai Yue's request to adventure with her, Ying stayed in the city all day and felt very depressed. Although Ying will give him some pocket money to buy delicious and fun things on his own, he has already stayed in the city and now staying in the city is really boring. Bai Yue had also considered sneaking out of the city, but Ying had already informed the Knights. Every time she wanted to sneak out of the city, she would be caught by the Knights. So boring, so boring. Sister Ying is really going too far. Other children can go out of the city, but I can't. Is this overprotective? Bai Yue sighed and shook his white furry fox ears. How can I make Sister Ying agree to let me adventure with her? Bai Yue was holding her small head with both hands, pondering this question. After all, it is definitely not possible to restore strength and be constantly protected by others. Forget it, let's not think about this issue anymore. Let's find a way to sneak out of the city and try out the power of the new toy. I'm really looking forward to it. Bai Yue is walking on the street, thinking about how to sneak out of Mon's city. A fiery red figure caught Bai Yue's attention. Isn't that Kelly? What is she going out for? Can you say Bai Yue thinks of a possibility? According to his experience of playing Genshin Impact before his rebirth, he probably knows what Carrie is going to do. Bai Yue quickly stops the fiery red figure. What are you going to do, Kelly? You're laughing so happily, Bai Yue asked knowingly. Kelly is going out to fry fish. Brother Bai Yue, please don't tell Captain Qin, otherwise if Captain Qin finds out, Kelly will be locked up again. Bai Yue deliberately showed a puzzled expression on her face. Please, don't tell the piano captain. Bai Yue pondered for a moment before speaking up. I don't have to tell Captain Qin, but Kelly wants to take me out of the city and stay in the city every day. It's really boring and there's no fun at all. But. Just as Kelly was about to speak, Bai Yue interrupted directly. Don't worry, with Kelly protecting me, there won't be anything wrong. Alright then, Brother Bai Yue must keep up with Corioli and protect you. I will definitely follow Kelly closely. Come with me. I know there is a secret passage that can avoid the eyeliner of the Knights and the head of the harp. Bai Yue followed Kelly to a hidden corner of the city, where there happened to be a dog hole that was difficult to detect due to being covered by grass. So there's a dog hole here, why didn't I notice it before? I just said, why does Cory always slip out? Originally, there was a secret passage. The size of a dog hole is not suitable for adults to fit in, but for Kelly and Bai Yue, the size of 2 children, it can fit perfectly into this dog hole. Bai Yue followed closely behind Kuli, and the two took a detour near the city bridge, hiding in a thicket of grass. Shoo! The 2 soldiers guarding the city will be changing positions later. Let's take advantage of this time to sneak out. Bai Yue didn't speak and made an okay gesture. The 2 of them ran over the city bridge at the fastest speed during the gap between the soldiers changing positions. Apart from Timmy, who often fed pigeons, no one noticed their figures. Hey, finally slipped out, Bai Yue secretly rejoiced in her heart. Of course, Bai Yue couldn't have been following Kelly honestly all the time. As a bear child, she definitely needs to find some fun. Bai Yue took advantage of the time when Kelly was frying fish and slipped away. Kelly had just finished frying the fish when she turned around to find that Bai Yue was no longer by her side, and she immediately panicked. Brother Bai Yue, where have you been? Come out quickly. Kelly was a bit anxious, constantly searching for the trail of the white moon in the forest. At this moment, Bai Yue happened to see several foolish people preparing to travel back and forth to the stronghold. Is this the stronghold of fools? Follow up and see if you can find something fun. After the first few fools had already entered the stronghold, Bai Yue sneaked in. From the outside, this entrance is not big, and there is really a unique cave inside. I never expected that the Fools Guild would hide their stronghold in such a hidden place. If I didn't look carefully, I would think it was just an ordinary small cave. Bai Yue walked through a pitch-black tunnel, and after passing through a passage, she arrived at a small room. Through the mechanism here, Bai Yue officially entered the stronghold of the Fools. It's really big inside, let's go see what's fun. While avoiding the sight of fools, Bai Yue secretly wandered around the stronghold and unknowingly entered a small room where many heavy items of fools were placed. There are a lot of things here, including food, drinks, and some strange-looking things. Bai Yue picked up a box with a purple glass ball inside. Is this thing a evil eye? It looks quite similar. If you're right, this should be the place where equipment and food are stored in the fishman. I really don't understand why they need to be placed together. Forget it, it's not my business. Seeing so many equipment from the fools, Bai Yue suddenly had a very interesting idea. There are so many equipment for these fools, no wonder they dare to run around various countries to snatch the heart of the gods. Even in the later plot, they dare to confront the Millennium Army head on. With so many interesting equipment, I believe the technological level of Jidong should be very high, right? First, secretly borrow it from them, and then take it back and transform it with mechanism techniques. This way, you can create more fun little toys. Hehe, do whatever you say. Bai Yue dismantled all the equipment in the fishman into small pieces. Coincidentally, there was a small backpack here, so he packed all these small parts into the backpack and then carried the backpack away from the stronghold of the fools. Hehe, this time I really gained a lot. If the fools saw their equipment being dismantled in an immature way, would they be angry? Forget it, no one knows I did it anyway, hehe. Fools. Who is it? What about our equipment? Why are all the parts now? No matter who it is, don't let us fools catch it. If we catch it, it will definitely not be as good as his fruit. Bai Yue was happy and went to find Kelly. Brother Bai Yue, so you're here. Kelly thought you got lost, it really scared me to death. If the Qin team leader finds out, Kelly will definitely be locked up for a long time again. Hehe, I'm sorry, I just went to pick a few apples just now. Are you worried they might be broken? Speaking, Bai Yue handed a few apples that she had picked casually before leaving the crowd of fools to Kelly. Humph, don't run around next time, otherwise Kelly won't secretly take you out to play. Kelly looked very cute with a puffed-up expression. Alright, I got it. My brother will definitely not run around again next time. Bai Yue awkwardly scratched her head and said with a smile. At this moment, Cory noticed the backpack behind Bai Yue's back and asked curiously. Brother Bai Yue, what are you carrying behind your back? Well, it's just a toy that adults don't need. They threw it away casually, and I picked it up casually. When Bai Yue lies, her face does not turn red and her heart does not jump. So it's like this, can we let Kolai take a look? At this moment, Bai Yue quickly shifted her focus. Cory, didn't you go fry fish just now? We fried a few fish, why don't we go make grilled fish now? Upon hearing about fried fish and going to make grilled fish, Kelly immediately became excited and nodded in agreement, seemingly forgetting what had just happened. Alright. Kelly just fried a lot of fish. The two of them came to the lake together and picked up all the fish that had been blown over. Ignite a small fire and grill the grilled fish on the fire. When Bai Yue was reborn in Starry Iron, he flew a spaceship and visited many planets. For him, doing things like grilled fish was very skilled. I did well in the exam. Bai Yue handed the grilled fish to Kelly to taste. Kelly tasted the taste of grilled fish and her eyes looked like little stars. Wow. This is so delicious too. It's still the first time Lily has tasted such delicious grilled fish. How did you do it, brother Bai Yue? Bai Yue smiled. He had a habit of carrying some of his own secret seasonings wherever he went. Even when he traveled to Tibet and arrived at Moncheng, he immediately bought some spices and seasonings to make his own secret seasonings. Hee, this is a secret, I won't tell you. Bai Yue saw how delicious Kelly was eating, so she picked up a grilled fish and started eating it herself. In a few minutes, alright, Kelly, we've finished the grilled fish too. We should go back now. Lily, what suddenly came to mind at this moment? Please wait a moment, Coley still has the treasure to take. In an open forest, the two finally saw the destination of their trip. In the center of the open space, there was an exposed rock that looked very loose. There was a sign on the ground that read, Kelly's treasure. Here, where's my big treasure? Kelly looked at the excavated treasure and was slightly surprised. Corey, your treasure is written too clearly, isn't it? Bai Yue looked at the sign on it and fell into contemplation. Is it that obvious? Bai Yue saw the abyss mage hiding behind the tree and said to Kelly. Kelly, look over there. Your treasure should have been stolen by the abyss mage. That really seems to be Carrie's treasure, Carrie shouted out loud after seeing the bouncing bomb in the hands of the abyss mage. Damn it, it was discovered. You are so obvious that it is not discovered that there is a problem, right? Bai Yue roast. The abyss mage turned around and was about to run away, but White Moon didn't seem to want to pursue it. She took out her homemade grenade from her pocket and threw it at the abyss mage. Forget it, I'm too lazy to chase you anyway. Let's just try the power of my little toy. Boom. 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 A huge explosion came, and the abyss mage was nowhere to be found. He may have been blown to pieces, but a small pit about half a meter deep and with a radius of 2 meters had already been blasted out on the ground. At the first moment when Bai Yue threw the grenade, she pulled Kelly in the opposite direction and was not affected by the aftermath of the grenade's explosion. Cough. Cough. This power is even slightly greater than I imagined. At this moment, Kelly's eyes lit up and she looked at Bai Yue with a very admiring gaze. Wow. Is this also a bouncing bomb? It's even more powerful than the bouncing bomb I made, isn't it too powerful? Can you teach Coley how to make it? Bai Yue refused directly. This is not acceptable. It's really too dangerous for Coley. If one mishandles it, it could blow herself up. The Qin team leader who was searching for Kelly and Bai Yue, as well as Ying who was on a mission to the Adventure Association nearby, rushed over as soon as they heard the explosion. Ying and Paimon were the first to arrive and saw that the two little ones had already been blown out of the pit. They were very surprised and asked curiously. What happened here just now? How could such a big hole have been dug? Paimon was very surprised. Ying immediately reacted when she saw Bai Yue outside the city. Bai Yue, how could you be outside the city? Didn't I tell you to stay in the city obediently? Ying asked with a slightly angry tone. Faced with Ying's angry questioning, Bai Yue also felt a bit at a loss for a moment. Sister Ying. I was just too bored staying in the city. So I sneaked out. Captain Qin, she also arrived at this moment and saw the two little ones standing near the pit. She immediately guessed that this was definitely done by Kelly again. Kelly, did you cause trouble again? Qin. Captain Qin didn't do it this time with Kelly. Kelly quickly waved her hand to explain. At this moment, Bai Yue took the lead in speaking up. This was not actually done by Kelly, it was actually done by me. Everyone looked at him in great shock, except for Kelly, who had witnessed the entire process after Bai Yue's explanation. Everyone finally understood the ins and outs of the matter. Oh. So it's like this, I understand now. In other words, when you meet the Abyss Mage, Bai Yue uses her homemade bomb to blow him up to pieces. Paimon repeated the rough process he heard. There is no need for a repeater, thank you, roast. Damn it, Paimon is not a repeater. Paimon stomped his foot in the air in anger. Captain Cheen, at this point, I also knew all the process and apologized to Kelly. I'm sorry, Kelly. I blamed you wrong this time. But due to the two of you sneaking out and causing such a big commotion, you both have to go back and accept the punishment of being confined in the confinement room for a week. You can't sneak out after Bai Yue. Two little ones were locked up in the confinement room like this. Chapter 9. Battle Backpack. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Knight's Ban, before lockdown, Bai Yue, we will come back to pick you up in a few days. After entering, you must take good care of yourself, woo-woo. Ying put on a distressing expression. Bai Yue couldn't help but twitch as she watched Ying's poor acting skills. Isn't it just a locked room, as for that? What's going on is that I'm going to die, and I'm really speechless. I can only say it very helplessly. Sister Ying, I'm just locked up in a detention room, isn't it necessary? The thought of not being able to hold the little cutie for several days made me feel uncomfortable all over, whimpering. Sister Ying, if you want to hug me, can you just say so? Bai Yue is crazy roast in her heart at this time, but she still can't help it. Bai Yue takes the initiative to pull Ying with her small hand and asks her to hold herself. Ying saw that the little cutie was so proactive, how could she not hug him? She hugged Bai Yue into her arms, rubbed his cheek hard, and after a long time, reluctantly let go. Ying, it's just that I can't see you for a week, as for what? Paimon looked at Ying with some helplessness and then shook his head. After seeing Bai Yue leave, Ying's eyes suddenly became firm and she said to Paimon. Paimon, let's go and complete the bounty mission first. Ying and Paimon left the knights. After being locked up in the confinement room, Bai Yue did not idle his backpack, which he had previously packed with parts, and was not confiscated. During these days in the confinement room, he has been transforming the equipment of fools. Kelly has long been accustomed to making bouncing bombs in the confinement room. Although he really wants to play with Bai Yue, there is nothing fun in the confinement room. Seeing Bai Yue busy, he didn't bother him. Although they have been unable to leave the confinement room for the past few days, the knights provide 3 meals a day. Except for not being able to leave here, most of the other requests can be agreed upon, and the treatment inside is still very good. Apart from modifying equipment, Bai Yue only eats, drinks, and sleeps. Even if Kelly wanted to play with him, he didn't pay much attention. Before the equipment modification was completed, no one paid attention and showed a bit of indifference. Kelly was very helpless, after all, she was confined in a confined room and was not allowed to make bouncing bombs. Bai Yue also had to make toys, so she could only read various storybooks in boredom or sleep. Kelly hoped that these days would pass quickly. She wanted to go fish bombing. Bai Yue didn't feel bored because she had to renovate the equipment. After a week of continuous renovation by Bai Yue, the stolen equipment from the fools was finally completed. He integrated various unknown equipment stolen from the fishmen into a backpack, creating a multifunctional combat backpack. Ha! 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 Finally, the renovation has been completed, and now we can embark on an adventure with Sister Ying. We need to find an opportunity to test the power of this backpack. Bai Yue casually placed the renovated backpack on the table. Although the multifunctional battle backpack may not look much different from an ordinary backpack in appearance, in reality, there is a hidden mystery inside the backpack. The backpack contains 3 evil eyes as power, which can be used for climbing, defense, attack assistance, and all functions in one. At the same time, the power of the 7-element evil eyes can also be used, which is a bit life-threatening to drive these forces. After Bai Yue placed her backpack on the table, she went to sleep. At this moment, after watching Bai Yue fall asleep, Kuli walked over. She had been curious that Bai Yue had been ignoring him in order to do this for the past few days, which made Kuli very depressed. Brother Bai Yue, these days he has been ignoring me just to make this toy. Let me see what toys are inside, hee. Kelly held her backpack in her hand and carefully observed for a while, only to find that it was no different from the small red backpack she usually carried. Kelly wanted to open her backpack, but found that I couldn't open it no matter what. Why can't I open this backpack? Is it broken? What are these buttons for? Kelly, you noticed the yellow button on the strap and casually pressed it. A protective cover with rock elements enveloped Kelly. Kelly's eyes lit up instantly, as if she had discovered some new continent. Sure enough, it's a toy. What's the effect of trying other buttons? Corey pressed the red button on her shoulder strap, and a red flame shot out from her backpack. Corey was startled and quickly put down her backpack. Originally, Kelly wanted to play for a while, but for some reason, after pressing the red button, she felt a bit tired. After putting down her backpack, she also went to sleep. We have come to pick you up, Bai Yue. Ying rushed over eagerly, wanting to embrace her little cutie as soon as possible. At the moment Ying saw Bai Yue, she let him hold her in her arms and keep rubbing against her. Seeing this scene, Qin couldn't help but twitch his lips, but he quickly reminded her. Travelers, please pay attention to your image. Ying smiled awkwardly and let go of Bai Yue. The traveler and his group returned to their residence. Ying immediately hugged Bai Yue in her arms. Previously, she was a bit difficult to deal with in public, but now at home, Ying has no worries and spoils her very much. Bai Yue, have you been doing well these days? Have you missed your sister? She misses you so much. Ying was like a precious treasure, tightly holding Bai Yue in her arms, unwilling to let go. Sister Ying, please calm down. It's only been a few days since we last saw each other, and your behavior is too enthusiastic, isn't it? Bai Yue struggled in Ying's arms, trying to break free, but she was held too tightly. No matter how hard she struggled, she couldn't break free. Traveler, you're exaggerating too much, just a little bit. Paimon looked at this speechless scene and didn't know what to say. What's inside this backpack? Is it delicious? Paimon noticed that the backpack on the table looked bulging, thinking it was something delicious. Just as he was about to come forward and open it, he was stopped. Bai Yue broke free from Ying's embrace and snatched the backpack, tightly protecting it in her arms, like a feeding puppy. Paimon, this is not food, it contains my secret weapon. Ying saw Bai Yue break free from her embrace to protect the backpack, and sometimes eat what was inside the backpack. Secret weapon. What kind of secret weapon is inside this backpack? Upon hearing that it was not food inside, Paimon became uninterested, but upon hearing that it contained secret weapons, he became somewhat curious. Ying handed over the backpack in Bai Yue's hand, sometimes worth looking at. She wanted to open the backpack, but found that it couldn't be opened no matter what. What's inside Bai Yue, isn't it? Paimon said in a questioning tone. Hee, where are weapons that are not dangerous? Speaking, Bai Yue wanted to snatch the backpack back from Ying's hand. Ying was a bit unhappy. She picked up her backpack high and didn't give it to Bai Yue when there was something inside the backpack without playing the piano. Sister Ying, please return my backpack to me quickly. Bai Yue said anxiously. Can you explain first what's inside the backpack? Otherwise, I won't give it to you, Ying asked. Sister Ying, as we all said, this is my secret weapon inside. Hurry up and give it back to me. Ying suddenly became interested and wanted to take this opportunity to tease Bai Yue, as it had been a long time since she had teased him. Ying squinted her eyes and said with a smile. Oh, what kind of secret weapon is this? Can you tell my sister? Chapter 10. Test the combat backpack. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Bai Yue paused for a moment, looking at Ying Zhao's somewhat lewd expression. Her heart couldn't help but thump, but she still pretended to have a nonchalant expression and said. Hee, if the secret is revealed, it's not a secret anymore. Sister Ying, all you need to know is that I created it myself. Ying actually had no interest in backpacks, she just wanted to tease Bai Yue, and then Ying returned the battle backpack to Bai Yue. Just as Bai Yue was about to take her backpack, she was picked up by Ying, but she hadn't had enough yet. Hee, sister hasn't had any Rua for a week. You must make up for it now. With one hand, Ying tightly held Bai Yue in her arms, while the other hand kept touching his little head and his furry fox ears. Ah! This scum screen is so despicable. I must have indulged her too much before. This seat is not a little cat or puppy, and I am not someone to touch it casually. Okay, but don't touch my tail. The body has become so strange, an indescribable feeling. Damn it, how can this work? No, then you can't, ma. Bai Yue let out a comfortable moan. Ying asked Bai Yue to sit on her legs and touch his fox tail with both hands. This furry fox tail feels really good to the touch. It feels really comfortable to touch. If only Bai Yue could grow up a little longer, then I can no, how could I have such thoughts? Ying shook her head in an attempt to expel the evil thoughts from her mind. At this moment, two voices sounded from Ying's heart. Evil thought. Hee. White moon is cute and has a great texture. I don't know how the taste is, I really want to taste it, it's so delicious. Hey. Just thinking. How can this be? This idea is absolutely unacceptable. He is just a child, just a hug is enough. You must not do anything too outrageous. Ying was swayed by these two thoughts at this moment, but then looked at the cute little one in her arms, her fair and tender skin as if it could squeeze out water. After going through an ideological struggle, Ying finally decided to give it a kiss. Can Bai Yue give you a kiss, sister? Well, that's good. Bai Yue thought that Yuzi was just kissing her face and forehead, and it was nothing, so you just agreed without even thinking about it. Ying licked his lips in a somewhat abnormal way, and before Chen Boyu could react, he kissed his mouth. Woo woo. Sister Ying. How could you? Before Bai Yue could react, she was forcefully kissed by Ying. He pushed Ying away and quickly broke free from her. He thought this time it was just a kiss and a lift, and if it didn't work out, he just gave him a pat on the ear and tail. It's nothing, Bai Yue doesn't care about this kind of thing, but what he didn't expect was that he was forced to kiss by Ying, and he wasn't even prepared. Well, Bai Yue broke free from Ying's embrace and quickly wiped the corners of her mouth. A few blushes appeared on her face, with a hint of anger. Sister Ying, how could you do this? I'm just a child, and if I want to do this kind of thing. I'll have to wait until I grow up. Bai Yue's words were naturally just an excuse. He's actually over 110 years old, but his body is not growing up, and he can only maintain the appearance of a child forever. At this moment, Ying quickly calmed down and regretted her previous behavior. She realized what she had done and that she had even taken action against a child. Ying. How could you do such a thing? White Moon child is just a child, it's really a beast. Paimon had already covered his mouth in surprise. Bai Yue, I'm sorry. I love you so much, I can't help but. Ying didn't know why, but as soon as she saw Bai Yue, she had a deadly attraction and even had evil thoughts, which she instinctively did. Alright, I'll forgive you this time. We can't do this next time. Bai Yue waved her hand, looking indifferent. Bai Yue did not tell Ying and Paimon his true age. He was afraid that Ying would become even more reckless after knowing his true age, without any sense of guilt. After all, he used to learn from his past experiences. Once, he went on a trip with a group of tour groups and was almost wiped clean by a member of the group because he told him his true age. Sister. I will definitely restrain myself a bit next time. A sense of guilt surged in the heart of the loser, said Ying. But Ying still licked her mouth, savoring the scent of Bai Yue. After all, this was the first time she had acted so boldly. If she had known Bai Yue's true age, she probably wouldn't have thought she was wrong. Bai Yue didn't care about this matter, took back her backpack and said solemnly to Ying. Sister Ying, from now on, I can go on adventures with you. Don't worry about me encountering danger. My backpack is specially made for exploration. Ying looked at Bai Yue with some confusion, holding a backpack. She felt that this backpack might not be simple, and she had already guessed it in her heart. However, she was still a bit worried. After all, he didn't want his little cutie to get hurt. What's the use of your backpack? If I can't guarantee your safety, I won't agree to you. After all, my sister doesn't want you to get hurt. Ying said seriously. Don't worry. Sister Ying, why don't we just go to the training ground for a moment? The travelers arrived at the training ground where Eileen often trains, which was spacious enough with some targets. Sister Ying, you have to keep an eye on it, don't blink. Bai Yue had already packed her backpack and pressed the button on the shoulder strap. A pistol with a fire element jumped out of her backpack, and Bai Yue took it and fired 3 bullets in her hand. Bang! 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 All the training targets have been hit. Bai Yue rotated the device on the left side of his backpack, emitting arrows with ice elements that flew out of his backpack, hitting all targets and hitting the center of the target. Bai Yue rotated a moment, an assault element shield spread out from the backpack on the right side, enveloping it and protecting it. This series of operations left Ying and Paimon stunned and astonished. They had heard of the mechanism technique of the White Moon Society, but never expected that he could transform such an incredible thing. The two couldn't help but praise each other. Isn't that too impressive? How did you do it? It looks no different from a regular backpack in appearance. Paimon excitedly asked, hoping to get an answer from Bai Yue's mouth. Ying didn't speak and began to think carefully. This is a secret, I won't tell Paimon. The White Moon also made a face at Paimon. If you don't say it, then don't say it. You're really angry. Paimon angrily stomped his feet in the air. Sister Ying, do I have the ability to explore with you now? Bai Yue asked Ying with an expectant expression, hoping that she would agree to him. Ying thought for a moment, then looked at the white moon in her eyes, and finally nodded and said. Well. Since you already have the ability to protect yourself, you can go on an adventure with us, but you also need to protect yourself in the future. That's great. Finally, we can go on an adventure together. Bai Yue jumped up from the ground with excitement on her face. Ying looked at Bai Yue with some indulgence, and Yue felt very pleased. My little white moon looks so excited and adorable, I really want to hug him. Bai Yue was very happy and threw herself into Dee's arms, vigorously rubbing against her.